what it means to be an American. America is freedom, and freedom is special and rare.
We, the people of this great nation.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
We, the people of this great nation.
Good morning, my fellow Americans. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, because I sure am. But I want to dedicate a big portion of this show to a guy that I think is by far the biggest piece of shit in the media world. He has no credibility. The man is a joke of a journalist, and then tries to preach to Americans consistently day in, day out. I happen to have been flipping the channels, and I happen to have run into Chris Cuomo. I never watch CNN because I know it's bullshit news. I mean, it's completely biased. Funny enough, I see him giving an entire lecture on how Donald Trump is trying to steal the election, on how we're losing democracy, on how we should unify. This is literally coming from the man that talked about the Russian collusion nonstop 24/7. The man that told every single person in America that you should be wearing a mask, but apparently he didn't. And then he faked an entire quarantine. He literally faked it. He pretended like he was in his basement taking it serious. Meanwhile, he was really actually walking throughout New York City. He received a letter from his apartment building in Manhattan stating that he was putting other people in the building's lives in jeopardy. Apparently, he follows in his brother's footsteps in putting people's lives in jeopardy and possibly killing people. Nevertheless, so he starts talking about democracy and how all these, and he listed out every single Republican, because now Republicans of the House have also supported this. And all I saw as he's talking is fear, because they know we are going to win. They know the truth is there, and they know the Supreme Court is going to find the truth. That is why they are so scared. He claims Trump has no case on fraud. We already know this. Then why did the state troopers today, state police, arrest a Democratic official in Michigan for election fraud? Then why is everybody that was in that videotape in Atlanta hired lawyers? Do you think that Donald Trump is going to have hundreds of people sign affidavits under the law of perjury that they can literally face 5 years in prison if they lie and there's no fraud? You believe that all these mathematicians that have said that mathematically it's impossible for Joe Biden to win the election are wrong. You think that the rules being changed prior to an election without the legislation approving it or voting on it is wrong. It is right. No, it's wrong. Do you think that people being kicked out in Michigan poll centers and then them covering it up so they can't see them and laughing and gloating about it is normal? No, it's not. So Nevada had problems in the primaries. Nevada had problems in the primaries. We already know this with their voting issues. And Arizona has already verified that with a specific amount of ballots that the system Dominion was weighing in at 3% to Biden on votes that were for Trump. We know that they've subpoenaed the CEO of Dominion. We know that there's a weird deal that went on between Stacey Abrams and the Secretary of State in Georgia. We know there's a man that testified saying, well, he openly testified and spoke to the FBI stating that he traveled from New York to Pennsylvania with a truckload full of ballots. That's definitely abnormal. We know you may have criticized Trump. He may have been inaccurate where he said that Ohio and nobody's won Florida and Ohio ever in an election. He may have been wrong on that. You're right. His tweet was wrong. But yeah, it's been about 60 years since that's happened. 40 or 60 years since Nixon. So yeah, you're right. He was wrong there. But where he wasn't wrong is that it's been over 150 years since a sitting president, gets more votes than he originally did, and by a significant number, may I add, more than any other sitting president, and loses the election. It is also very unlikely that the same bellwether counties that have predicted, 100 years of elections, he happens to win 18 out of 19 of them. And still Joe Biden manages to win the election. Yeah, you put all these anomalies and all this weirdness around, and testimonies and sudden claims that they're going to stop voting, then spikes in the middle of the night and they were counting ballots. We have footage of people showing how the system and how Dominion can easily be switched. We saw it today in the Atlanta hearings, in the Georgia hearings, I'm sorry. We know that they claim to have shut down. We have footage in Georgia where there's actual people counting ballots, all Democrat, coming out of a bottom of some sort of table, and it was hidden there prior. We know that the margin of error in Georgia is very slim. We also know that the Supreme Court case has 154,000 votes in Michigan that have no registration numbers on them. Basically, they're miscellaneous ballots. They were not registered to vote. We also know that a shit ton of people that were underage voted in the state of Georgia. A lot of dead people voted in the state of Georgia. Apparently, Joe Biden was that popular that he was able to get people out of the grave to vote for him. So, Chris Cuomo, do your fucking job and be a journalist. Stop trying to give these speeches and these lectures about unity. We don't want to fucking unite with you. You are a piece of shit that has been criticizing and making every Republican's life a living hell and every Trump supporter a living hell for the last 4 years. You call this some sort of steal? Yeah, by your side, not ours. We just want transparency. Apparently, you guys think democracy means we rig the election, we make the choices, and America shuts up. That's not the way it works. We deserve our day in court. 75 million actual people voted for Trump. Not fake ones, actual real Americans. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, we want transparency. We demand transparency. And we are the people. You better watch your mouth, Chris. Acting tough, putting out names like that. Basically outing and saying that anybody who supported Trump should be remembered and they should pay consequences. We're not going to forget the shit you said either. We're not going to forget that either. You're an overrated, overpaid news anchor that needs to be off the air. You're a lousy news anchor. You're a weak man. As a man, you're weak. I can tell. Because somebody who shows off and is constantly showing himself working out, that's in love with himself, is a joke of a man. So that being said, please do not lecture Americans on what you think is good or what you think democracy is. You've been shitting on democracy for the last 4 years. You don't give a fuck about our feelings. You don't care about what Americans think. You look down at people that vote for Trump. We'll never unite behind you because we don't unite behind crooked criminals. And yes, there was fraud in this election. And yes, there is evidence that there was fraud in this election. Video footage we have. Affidavits, which do count as evidence in court. If somebody witnesses a person shooting the other person, but they can't find the gun, but he's an eyewitness and he's sworn under oath, yeah, that would be evidence, dumbass. But apparently you guys do not like to do research. You guys just like to continue to promote this false propaganda. Donald Trump is bad. Donald Trump is bad. As a matter of fact, there was a new number that came out that said about 10% of Democrats would not have voted for Trump for Biden, if they knew about Hunter Biden. And guess what? You fuckers suppressed that story. You didn't even bring it up. Guess what? I'm looking at your website right now. You guys are not even talking about the entire scandal between the great congressman that was a fighter for freedom, a fighter against domestic interference with elections, and he was part of the Intel committee, a guy that should have had knowledge, at least enough to know that he was having sex and sleeping with a spy. Feinstein, same thing. It seems like you guys keep spitting up in the air and it just keeps landing in your face. Everything you claim Republicans do, you guys do it. You guys are not the party of the people. You are the party that suppresses freedom of speech. You are the party of the elites. That's why we have YouTube, Facebook, Google, and every other social media outlet pretty much blocking anything that says voter fraud. You guys are trying to hide the truth, like you tried to hide Hunter Biden and the truth behind him. It's pretty sad that we are in a place like this in America where we have clowns like Chris Cuomo and people actually take this clown serious. Because that's what you are. You're just a clown. Everyone knows it. No one takes you serious. Yeah, maybe your little elite friends that you hang out with in Hollywood elites, which no one cares about their opinions. They need to stick to acting, and obviously no one cares about them. They didn't change the election in 2016. They weren't influential enough, and they didn't change it in 2020. Okay, Biden did not just have a magic wand and just magically end up statistically changing every historical formula that's been used to verify whether a president won the election fairly, whether somebody running for president won, a presidential candidate won it fairly. Yeah, Joe Biden's not that popular to surpass Obama. He's not that popular. As I've said before, probably subtract about 30 million votes. And yes, I'm glad that the Democrats are uniting together and some states are going to fight this back. No one gives a fuck. We want you to fight it back. We want this to be exposed. We want the transparency to come out. Because when it does, you guys are in deep shit. The ones that are going to be on a list is going to be people like you, Mr. Cuomo. People like you that kept discrediting and kept attacking Republicans for doing the right thing. The Republicans are finally standing up to your ridiculous rhetoric, to your stupidities, to your identity politics, to your racial comments, to your stupid form of thinking and ideology. And you can't stand it because you're starting to see what the power of America United really looks like. We don't need to unite. Republicans across the board are all united. You guys are the ones that are falling apart. AOC already trying to get more progressives into Congress. Let's talk about hypocrisy. Let's talk about your brother. Your brother writes a book, makes a ton of cash about his success during the pandemic. Are you kidding me? Liberals love to say Donald Trump killed this many people. No, your brother, if Donald Trump killed that many people, your brother killed 35,000. Because your brother was a lousy governor, still is a lousy governor. Just like you're a lousy news anchor, he is a lousy governor. Everyone knows it. He did everything wrong, and Donald Trump supplied him with everything he needed, and he still managed to get it wrong. So, Chris Cuomo, I'll end this little portion of you. I think I dedicated way too much time to a scumbag like you. But after seeing that, I just saw hypocrisy all over the place, and that was one of the main reasons I forbid CNN in my household. Because you are garbage news. You, Don Lemon, Tapper, Wolf Blitzer, you're all a joke. You're all biased as fuck. You guys are not journalists. I don't care how many degrees you guys have. You guys are not journalists. You guys don't even research the facts. You guys claimed there was no affidavits and our secretary was holding fake documents, blank documents. And then the affidavits came out and then the witnesses spoke. And then what you guys do? You didn't even cover the story. But Republicans will continue to push. We will continue to fight. And we will continue exposing you guys for the frauds that you are. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Do you feel homeless in today's American political world? Not really into either candidate or party? Well, guess what? You're not alone. Join me and others just like you across this great country for a discussion of politics from a viewpoint that you can't find in today's media. The Middle. I'm your host, Brian Grozier, and I invite you to join in on the discussion by downloading and listening to the Middle American Podcast.
And that's all I have to say about that particular subject. Now, it's very interesting, my fellow Americans. Everything, the turn of events. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to somebody who is he listens to my show, my podcast, and he also watches my stream. His name is Noah from California. He's 15 years old, and I had the privilege of having him on my show today, and it was so awesome to see young, intelligent, conservative teenagers that know so much about politics, or at least are engaged in politics. I was not engaged at that age in politics. I was thinking something completely different. And Noah, you give me hope for this future, because people like you, teenagers like you, actually show me that there's still hope for this country, that there is still, and he lives in California, mind you, everybody. He lives in California. I'm not going to tell you the location, but he lives in California. He is blessed to live in a red area in California, but nevertheless, he speaks for himself, Noah thinks for himself, and I appreciate that. Every single time I see somebody standing up for what they believe in, no matter what age they are, and especially when they're younger and they're engaged in politics and they're looking at what's happening around the world and they care about what's happening around the world, I admire that, and I give you a round of applause for that, my friend. And another thing is, I would like for you to send me an email, if you can, to arepublicannation@gmail.com. That's arepublicannation@gmail.com. I'd like to send you some gifts, some Republican Nation gear, just for the fact that I am extremely proud of you. I'm extremely proud of the fact that you were telling me you're doing great in school, and that you're just fighting for what you believe in, and you're standing up for what you believe in. So now let's jump to a whole completely different subject, as if shit could not get any worse for Sleepy Joe Biden. Now they're investigating his brother as well. They're actually probing a business that's tied to Joe Biden's brother. Let me tell you something. If this isn't releasing the Kraken, I guess the Kraken opened, and I think the Kraken was the American people. I mean, this is just hilarious. I mean, you can't make this shit up. 2020 has been a movie with twists and turns, and I mean, it is just incredible to me. It is just incredible to me, like the nonsense that goes on, everything that's been going on this year. We've all been through hell and back. I mean, we saw Nancy Pelosi pretty much say, hey, listen, I don't care about what Americans are going through. I want to make sure I keep my House seat and I keep the majority. I don't care what Americans are feeling. I want to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get reelected. And she held the stimulus. She literally was willing, for her own personal gains, was willing to let Americans suffer. Let that simmer and let that sit in your head for a little while, and tell me if you think that sounds like the party for the people. Meanwhile, Donald Trump consistently tried to accept offers from her. He went above and beyond, and she still refused to do it. She's still refusing to do it. So, I mean, it's just... So, I mean, look, this is just ridiculous. I mean, CNN, there's even a new story that just broke loose. The CNN is actually refusing to go with the Hunter Biden story. Like, they're not going to report on it. This just shows you how we need to change this government. We need to change everything. We need to fight back. This is beyond crazy already. We're not living in the great republic, the democracy that we live in this country. People, I mean, wake up. Wake up. This is not America. What these people are doing, I mean, they're cheating right in front of our face. They're censoring senators right in front of our faces. They're showing their true colors right in front of our faces. And we're just there taking the slaps left and right and allowing this to take place. Insanity is literally, the definition of sanity is doing the same thing thinking you're going to get a different result. We've been seeing this happen for 4 years. Enough is enough. We, the people, decide what happens in this government, not the government. We, the people. And if we think the government is fucking us over, or the government is doing something they're not supposed to be doing, then we, the people, are in every right to defend our rights. Okay? So, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit more intense today. I got really heated when I saw that because I just saw the hypocrisy right there, and I was completely shocked. I cannot believe this is why I don't watch CNN. I mean, this is why I don't watch CNN, for this exact same reason. They right now, I believe COVID-19 exists. I believe COVID-19 is killing people. I'm not a QAnon. You guys know this. You guys have been hearing me for a long time. I'm not a QAnon supporter. I don't know much about QAnon to begin with. I bring my friend in just to pretty much for comedy relief. But I think they are over. They're doing a massive amount of coverage on COVID-19 simply because they're trying to cover up the other stories that are coming out. So this is starting to be an issue. And by the way, finally, they've approved Pfizer. Pfizer has officially been approved here in the United States for emergency. So for emergency use, the FDA approved it, which that's great news. I'm hoping that this is a safe drug. I am wondering, though, at the same time, if they can create a vaccine so quick for a virus in under a year, why don't we have the cure to cancer yet? Why don't we have the cure to AIDS? Why don't we have the cure to all these things that we should have cures to? If we could do this in under a year, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can figure out what's going on with these the fact that we don't have sufficient or adequate solutions to a lot of health crises that we're having in this country. So today I was on my stream. It's interesting because my stream is something beyond imaginable. I mean, if you guys were to ever sit there and watch the stream, you guys would freak the hell out with what the way the left thinks. Now, this is what I do. I basically go on there and I sit there and I talk. Of course, I put titles such as America First, and you know what stuff like that does. Trump 2020, it triggers the left. So then I have a herd of lefties that jump into my chat, my stream, and it's just attack after attack after attack. And I try to find common ground. Like I'm telling you, what I try to do is I try to interact with as many different people and try to learn why so many young people lean to the left and why they believe that this is better for their country. And I try to engage, I mean, I feel if you learn how other people think and why they believe in specific policies or in specific political, why they take certain political stands, that you can find some sort of common ground. Well, I have officially given up. There is no getting to these people. They are brainwashed. They are communist, but they live in the United States. It's a very easy thing for them to say. I'm a communist, but I live in the United States. Listen, go visit my family in Cuba, spend a month over there, and then let me know how good communism works. Okay? For those people that don't know what communism is, it's horrible. It's the worst. You guys have no fucking clue, and it's easy to sit in your house, living in your parents' roof, and say communism is great. And of course, we know most of these Antifa characters. We know most of these Antifa guys that claim to be anti-fascist when we all know they are the ones that are fascist. They all live in their parents' house. I mean, this is ridiculous. These people are ruining their lives. And to a certain point, I feel bad because they're young and their minds are going to change eventually. They're going to grow up. That's what's going to happen. They're going to grow up. And when they grow up, they're going to have these small little criminal records that might affect their future. Because a lot of these kids that are claiming to be Antifa or teenagers, whatever the hell they are, college students, they are going to college. They are getting degrees. And one day they will be in the workforce. And one day they will do a criminal background check on them. And they will see these little cases that they had. And they're ruining their own lives doing this stupidity. Not just that, they're getting a beating. A lot of these guys are getting a beating from the police, from the Proud Boys, and from several different other people that are not putting up with their shit. And eventually people are going to really start getting hurt. So to all those guys out there that might listen to me, that you guys are Antifa, I promise you, in 10 years, you will not be thinking the same way you think today. When you get into the workforce and you know what real life is, when you have a family, when you have your own kids, when you have responsibilities, when you know what the pursuit of happiness really is, you will realize that you were on the wrong side of history. The pursuit of happiness is not just money. I mean, and when I see these people claiming to be Antifa and they're claiming, what I see in their faces, usually when I see in their mugshots, I know most people laugh when they see the mugshots of these people that get arrested in Seattle and Portland or whatever. I feel bad. I see a lot of sadness in them, self-hate. When I look at those pictures, I see a lot of hate, which is what I see a lot in the chat room while I'm streaming. There's no engagement of anything that has credibility. I'm arguing something and I'm explaining something and debating with somebody, and their answer is cope. I don't need to cope with anything. I'm a grown man, and most Republicans are tough people. We're tough cookies. We dealt with 8 years of Obama. You think we need any help with coping? I mean, the last time I saw the ones that were crying when Donald Trump won was the left, not us. We're fighting we're fighting to make sure we have fair elections. See, the difference between Antifa and the left is that we don't attack our fellow Americans. If we don't agree with our government, we attack the government. That is the difference. Antifa bullies and attacks innocent people, while we actually go and we would go straight to the government and fight the people that are doing this directly. We're living in crazy times. We are living, as I've said numerous times, we're living in the twilight zone right now. I don't know exactly what the future of this country is. I don't know whether Donald Trump is going to get reelected. Do I think it's looking pretty good for him? Yeah, after seeing Chris Cuomo's rant, I'm pretty sure Chris Cuomo's scared. I'm pretty sure when he starts talking like that, and he has to talk about the actual case that's been brought to the Supreme Court when they were dodging it and not talking about it, probably means he thinks it's a pretty solid case. And when he's telling you that it's not a solid case, pretty much think quite the opposite. Because for him to be bringing it up when CNN hadn't brought it up yet means they're a little scared of what they might find and what the outcome might be. And when he's trying to threaten people on his channel and put a list of names of people that supported this, yeah, he's scared. He's trying to get Americans. He's literally telling Americans, you need to fight this. We need to save America. Save America from what? We need to save America from people like you. You are what's ruining America. You are what's creating division. You want unity. How can there be unity with people like you around? You've been dividing us for the last 4 years. You haven't given credit to Donald Trump for one thing he's accomplished. Let's talk about the fact that another country went into the the peace deal in the Middle East. Another country just jumped in. Yeah, you won't report on that. Definitely won't report on that, right? Something that we've been trying to accomplish for decades. Donald Trump did it. He's actually doing it. So you can try all you want to take away Donald Trump's accomplishments, but America sees it. You know why? Because they see it in their bank accounts. They see it in the change of atmosphere in their life. That's why you guys are so shocked. Why did people vote for Trump? Why did people vote for Trump? We don't understand. How can they vote for this guy? Because you guys are the elites. You don't see what Donald Trump does for us, but we actually experience it. And another thing is, we love this country. We bleed red, white, and blue. So we love seeing the American flag being waved in the air. We support our troops. We support our law enforcement. We don't burn our flags like your side does. We don't kneel to the national anthem and disrespect all the American troops that have died defending that flag. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy yourselves at work. It's going to get very interesting. It's going to get intense. And we'll see what happens. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless this beautiful country we call America.
America great again.
Hi, it's Judge Janine. I want to thank you for listening to the Republican Nation podcast. It's an important podcast to listen to because the Republican Nation is all about the Constitution, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and all of those rights that are important to all of us. We've got to make sure that America doesn't lose any of those rights and that we stay true to our founding fathers' intent. So thanks again for listening to the Republican Nation.